Good morning, Truth and Transparency. It is Thursday all day, baby. Let's get it in, shall we?
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Will do, thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking to the car and the other one.
It's truly for the win.
Yeah, right for the motherfucking win. I'm feeling it today. She's feeling it. Happiest of mornings. It's gonna be a great day. Feeling like a winner.
So there was 2 different discs. Okay. They all knew about it.
They all did know about it. About it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
The fuck you is. Hi guys, welcome. Good morning to all the mods. Good morning to all the members. Good morning to all the subscribers, and even you motherfuckers out there. Good morning. Well, where should we begin? Idaho4. The murders 2022, literally November. We are approaching the 2-year mark. We got a new court date. We're going to talk about that. But first, let's bring in Hector. Hector deserves some props here. So let's get Hector all lined up. All right, Hector. What do you got today? What you got for me? A little bit of foreplay. Yeah. All right, Hector. Boom. Going to go in order. These are all filed, as you can see the lovely date up here, top of the right-hand corner, October 8th. Okay. Those will be the filing dates, in case we forget. And then something that's going to be great, what they're starting to do here for us, I believe, is I love when it's written in pen, 837, boom, 838, like, so we go in order, okay? 1043, you know, just took a 2-hour little break. Wow, the rest of these. Oh, wait, because that was on the 9th. So good morning. Come on in. Here we go. First of all, I have to point out, you guys, everything is going to change. Everything is going to change. So motion for permission to file, even the language on how everything's going to go down is going to change. We're going to start seeing some serious respect around here. Okay, people are going to start respecting the courts again in Idaho. You better believe it. You go in, like, Motion for permission to file, baby. Look at that. Take note, Bill Thompson. Again, good morning. Motion for permission to file under seal. That would be everything that took place on October 8th, y'all. Okay? So yes, it's going to be under seal. Notice of filing documents related to the closed hearing under seal. Look at this. Again, this is from Brian Kohlberger's team. 8/38, October 8th. So we're giving you notice. Now, boom, daddy. 10:43 on October 9th. Only reason I'm putting this before it, okay, is because this was actually filed first. All right, but we're going to go over the order. This is the case management schedule. But the only reason I'm putting this first is because the request for appointment and transfer case. Now, I don't know what to tell people that don't understand what the fuck is going on. Okay. This does not mean, oh my God, Brian Kohlberger's case is getting transferred again. Brian Kohlberger is losing his attorneys. And Taylor is not Brian Kohlberger's attorney. All right. I have no idea what is going on with there. I don't even know why people write me emails asking me, did I see so-and-so? Fuck no. You think I have time for that shit? Do you know what I did yesterday? Hector's too bright. Let me make sure that Hector is not too bright, okay? Oh, I just made Hector brighter. Hector, what the fuck are you doing to my game? I don't got time for this, Hector. I swear to God, Hector. You should be able to read that now. There you go. Now, Brian Kohlberger will always have Ann Taylor as his attorney. Brian Kohlberger will have Jay as his attorney. And very, very important of the case is FBI, is federal attorney, okay, Elisa Mathis. Powerhouse. Motherfucking powerhouse. So powerhouse, I tried to get her to rep Dr. Dan Moore's case. That's who I wanted for Dan Moore, okay? I said, she's probably kind of busy, but hey, worth a shot, right? That's Brian's team. Then he has 25 expert witnesses that have already been retained. Now, those 25 witnesses were retained in and with the other courts, okay? Prior to Brian Kohlberger's case being overtaken by Hitler and moving to Ada County, the Idaho, lovely state, completely transformed its public defenders, like the way that they ran if you ever needed a public defender, okay? This overhaul caused administrative issues. That's it. Then, once they got into Ada County, and here we're all set up in Ada County, this case has always had a judge, besides the proceeding over the case for the guilty phase, judge, and the sentencing phase, if there should be one. There is another judge that was assigned to this case, like all the other ones, but people don't know about it, is when cases require you to have public defender, and you need to get funding. Who do you think is paying for these experts, you guys? I'm going to inform you guys. The people that are paying for the experts for Brian Koberger are all you Idahoans out there. Yes, Idaho is paying for every single expert, with the exception of Cyray, because I think it's pro bono. Now, in order for Brian Koberger's case to stay just with his team, secret, so nobody knows who is any of his experts. Remember in the hearing when Ann Taylor's like, I don't want to announce who my expert is, or I don't want to give it away in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if you guys if you guys know this, but for way back in the cheap seats, way the fuck back there, all right? Until you file something on record, nobody knows about anything unless you tell them, all right? That goes even true with, hey, I need to get funding so that I can put on retainer this expert. You don't go to the judge that's overseeing your case in like a Hippler, or back then a judge. There is a separate judge that's assigned to handle your financial decisions. When you have a matter that is, okay, Brian Koberger wanted to hire all those IGG people, okay? There's a process on how that happens. And how that happens is that Ann Taylor talks, and they're filing with a separate judge, and that judge is approving and providing the funding. Does everybody understand that? This is how it happens. It happens to maintain fairness for the defendant. And that is how it's also, unless you are corrupt as all hell, okay, the prosecution has no idea what is going on with that. Also, that's why when we want to get public requests to find out, hey, how much money is this case costing, blah, blah, blah. They're going to give you a dollar amount, but they're not going to list it out right now until this would be after trial. Could you possibly get how much money each person got if they want to give you a breakdown like that? But so when people saw this request for appointment and transfer of case, they are talking about, we need a judge, just like before, besides judge, to handle the financial decisions, our requests, the defense requests. So prior to the transfer of this criminal case to this court, the Honorable District Judge Mark Monson, 2nd Judicial District, had been appointed to serve the resource judge. Do you know what resource means? Resources. Motherfucking resources. People, financial resources. You have to go to your resource judge if you are a defendant and get them, hey, we want to have this person. Okay, we approve it. We pay it. The state's paying all of this. Okay. They're paying for Ann Taylor. They're paying for Jay. They're paying for every expert. I mean, across the board, Brian Koberger, just like any other person that receives a public defender, does not pay a damn dollar. But you still have to go through the process of getting it approved. Now, take, for example, Richard Allen's case. Richard Allen's case is the same thing, okay? But what's interesting with Richard Allen's case is Judge Gall over there in Indiana, look into that. And I believe she's the one that's making those decisions. And that should be some motherfucking bullshit. Okay? So at least here in Idaho, boom, here we go. We have a resources judge who we go to and nobody knows about shit. That's why it's sealed. Okay? So which was accomplished in Latah County by the opening a sealed separate civil case to handle this, because it's a civil matter, guys, because you know what civil is versus criminal. It ain't a criminal matter. Okay, it's a civil matter because it involves money, it involves people, it involves resources. It's a civil issue. Okay, we're having this civil closed hearing to say, hey, we have to transfer this on over now to this new court who took it over. Here's all the stuff. You can't have an open hearing about that. All right. It's very simple. It's truly very simple. So Hippler doesn't make the decisions if Brian would be denied. No, we're not going to give you funding for that. And trust me, that ain't going to happen in this case. I'm going to tell you a case that I don't even like to talk about that much, but the Chris Watts case. The Chris Watts public defenders, because Chris Watts' parents wanted private. They wanted to get rid of his public defenders. This is way back in the day. His public defenders got on a plane, flew out to North Carolina from Colorado. And this is totally not normal. They don't do this. Had never spoke to them, but when they got wind that the family was ready to start like a GoFundMe and to do whatever to try to get, like, literally they were talking about Jose Baez, all right? Anyways, the public defenders get on a plane, go out to North Carolina and say, listen, no. You don't understand what's what's the problem here? Your son can get the best defense. He can get $1 million defense for free. What are you doing? We have unlimited resources. He will get everything through the public defender's office for free. I thought it was awkward. I thought it was really awkward. Okay. That you're just flying across the country to offer up over $1 million in resources because they wanted to stay on that case. Think about that. Unheard of. Told that to Jane Fisher when I met with her. And she said, wait, what? We've never heard of that. I said, I thought that was awkward, Anyways, leave it to Colorado though. So, and what they meant by that is that every expert and just everything you would ever need, that if you have private defense, you're paying for all that. So like Karen Reed, private defense, okay? She's paying for every time she would need, hey, we got to go get this expert or that or this. I mean, a jury consultant, whatever it is, you're paying for that. The state's paying for it when you have a public defender. And so here, this whole request for appointment and transfer of case, we have a new judge that oversees the resources. That's who we go to. That's who we get approved of. And so that we can retain our experts, anything that they need. That's all this is, y'all. All right. So this court seeks to reestablish this judge as the resource judge for the criminal case. You guys know what that means? It means he was established over there. It's called administrative work, guys. We have to do the right paperwork so that we can then say, oh, hey, guess what? But we want to keep him. We want to reestablish, not establish, but reestablish. As the resource judge for this criminal case and request that the Idaho Supreme Court transfer venue of Latah County case. This, what they had to open up back in the day. Okay, because that's how they got all their funding. We want this case to be transferred to Ada County. The court further requests that Judge Monson be assigned as an out of district resource for the 4th district so that he can be reappointed to the resource judge case once it is transferred. So you know what that means? That means they all met about it because this is a request for the appointment and transfer case. Because guess who this is from? This is from Stephen Hitler. That's the motherfucking judge, y'all. Okay, so they met about this. Okay, yes. Hey, Ann Taylor said, Judge, we've been working well with Judge Monson here. If we can just go ahead and transfer the case, this is what all we suggest. It'd be a nice, easy transfer over. Da da, boom, 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 boom. Oh my God, imagine that. Communication. And then what does Hitler do? Hitler agrees and writes this up. So don't know what other people were saying about this, but anything other than what I just said is absolutely ludicrous. That means these people have no fucking idea what they're talking about, and they need to just not talk about the documents. All right, done. Now, why I'm doing this live. Good morning. Hector, you look so pretty today. I mean, handsome. Any questions about that, by the way? Throw them up in the sidebar over here. Let's go like this, shall we? All right. Now, this is your redacted. Redacted, guys. Redacted means that this is not inclusive of everything. It's redacted. How old is Hector? Maybe like a year. One second. Let me clear my throat. Okie dokie jokey smoky. Okay. Redacted. This is your case management schedule. So get out your little books, your little planners. So here we go, guys. I believe we talked about it here. And so I'm happy to say that I was like, why isn't this just starting after the 4th of July? I don't understand. This is like the easiest thing. You start it after 4th of July. Okay? You give people, they're going to have their June and start like in the middle of July, right? If you don't believe that I said that, take your happy ass back on and check out that live. Ready? When do they say, hey, let's go ahead and do this? July 30th. Yeah, bitches. Woo! Let me just get all up in that administrative building. Voir dire, guys. That is jury selection. Voir dire is a synonym. Jury selection begins. Okay. Jury selection. Voir dire. Now, your jury questionnaires will be administered approximately redacted date. It's interesting that they're redacting that date there. They have their reasons, though. Now, voir dire, jury selection. That means that week that they're going to put everybody in the courtroom, and number 643, come on down, sit in the seat. After you filled out your jury questionnaire, you look at your jury questionnaire. Oh, God, okay. All right. Hey, we're going to ask you questions. both sides taking stabs. Then they say, okay, we want this we want this juror. And the other side could say, we don't want this person, and we're going to use our I don't know how many they're going to give them, but you're going to have your challenges. So that's going to commence, meaning begin, on July 30th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Okay? I will be there for that. I 100% will be there for the jury selection. It's really, really important. I want to see those. I want to see those jurors. I want to see the questions. And I want to see who I would have picked, and based on who I would have picked, if that was people that the defense picked, if that was people that the prosecution picked, if it was people that nobody picked. I want to hear those questions. Brian Kohlberger's life, as well as the victims getting justice, is in the hands of literally these people. The most important part of this trial, in my opinion, other than the hearings that we will hear between now and that date. Okay. After seeing the Karen Reed case and then seeing those interviews, to think that this man or any of us have a damn chance with a jury, I don't know how it's possible. So again, good morning and welcome, new member. The jury trial shall start on August 11th and run through November 7th, 2025. They're ending it before that, a week before what would be the anniversary. If there's no hiccups or anything like that, and this doesn't get pushed back, that's saying that they take all that time. Something that I love about the schedule, because remember, guys, it's Boise time. So I'm on the East Coast, but Boise is 2 hours. So, for example, here right now, it's about to be 9 o'clock in the morning. That means Boise at 7. All right. So something that I truly, truly love about this, the schedule that he made, is at 8:30 in the morning, trial will begin each day. That is 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard. Okay. Then they will break, okay, for lunch for 45 minutes. So what I see happening here, so on my, it'll look like this, but for them it's 8:30. Then I see them going until 10:30, 10:45, like that'll be a break. Then they'll go until 12:45. They'll come back for lunch, and then they'll go straight through until 3:30. So 8:30 to 10:30, they'll have their like a 10-minute break. 10:45 to 12, then it'll be lunch from 12 to 12:45, then 12:45 to 3:30. Now, in Ohio, you have to give your court reporter, it's like they have to say no to a break, but you're supposed to give them a break. It's like, so that's in Ohio. I don't know. I'm going to look into what it is. But like this stretch right here, there may even have to be a 10-minute break, 12:45 to 3:30. This will allow jurors to, when they get off, because they're, done at 3:30. My understanding is with the way that they are going to be doing this 8:30 to 3:30, that they are not sequestering this jury based on this. Okay. You're not sequestering a jury based on the schedule. Sequestering means that they would be staying in all in a hotel or something like that. What this shows me is that they're giving the jurors time to get out of the courtroom, get to their vehicle, and then before the end of like the workday, before 5 o'clock would come, to be able to get things done between that 3:45 to 5 o'clock time frame. So again, 8:30 to 3:30. The parties should be aware that some trial weeks may need to be shortened depending on other obligations of the court. So counsel should have sufficient evidence, witnesses ready to go each day to utilize the full day's trial schedule. I do anticipate, wait till you see this, guys. It may leak the order. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but it could potentially leak the order that the Commonwealth goes in, which I would love. Because anybody that wants to be there for certain like testimony, but so, a final pre-trial conference will be held on May 15th, 2025. Again, starting August 11th. So that's 2 months before, right? Earlier status conferences may be requested. Now, motions. Big parts, big things. Motions. This is what we can expect. And I'm telling you, they're not, with this judge, you're not going to just be like this is the schedule, guys. Death penalty motions. So the state's response, what's today? It's due today, the 10th. We'll be expecting to see some documents drop. If they put them under seal from the state, we may not see anything, but by today, there would have been filings being made by the prosecutors in reply to the defense motions challenging those 10 to 15 motions. Modesto, California is calling me. Scott Peterson. What's up, buddy? The defense, then they're going to have a chance to reply to those with reply briefs. October 24th, so it's like 2 weeks. And then there's a hearing, big hearing, huge hearing. The next big hearing is going to be November 7th. So mark your calendars. That's your next, which is about a month from today. Discovery motions. Big daddy here. The last day to file a motion to compel, so Ann Taylor would have just, like she said, received all that new discovery. They're going to be going through it. They would have had a running list, guys. All right. So they're running, that running every time that they were asking for more supplemental. They're going to take every single supplemental list that they made. Okay. They're going to comprise that all into one huge document. They're going to remove the items that they received. Okay. They're going to remove them from the list. And then, but any item that they've ever asked for from the beginning of this case to the last time that they did it, to anything further because of what they just got in that last bunch, it'll be in one huge, here you go, motion to compel regarding any known unresolved issue. So again, all of those supplemental request 1 through 17, what were we up to? 18? Like I said, if they're organized, they're going to go in. They've already been doing it because they keep it on an Excel spreadsheet, and they're just removing, okay, yep, we got this. But then here we go. We're putting that big packet together that has all of those, and we're submitting them and saying, here, this is our any known unresolved issues is November 14th, the week after that big hearing. Responses to those motions are due December 6th, 21 days. Replies are due December 20th, 14 days. A hearing on the discovery motions will be held after Christmas, about a month after Christmas, January 23rd at 9 a.m. and will continue the following day. That's going to be in my last post I made about this case. Expect to see fireworks as far as Frank's motions being filed here. I expect a filing before Thanksgiving, but 100% before Christmas. I said 30 to 60 days. And then if they need to, they will continue on to the next day. And at that big discovery powwow, all right, that's where we're going to hear people saying, we don't have it. It doesn't exist. Should be interesting. Big day. Big day. Rule 12. All motions governed by ICR 12, including motions to suppress evidence, are due by November 14th. Do you guys see these deadlines all here in November? Responses to those motions are due December 6th. Replies are due December 20th. A hearing, same thing. Then they're going to hear all of this on January 23rd. What I see happening here is that you want to know everything. I love these deadlines that are being set out because then it's like, okay, this is everything we have now, basically moving from February 1st, February, March, April, May, June, July. 6 months of straight trial prep. Give me a motherfucking war room. That's what's going to go on. Because you have these deadlines, you know, like, there is none of this like last minute giving us this or that. It's what's in, what's not in. But during that time, things can be filed still, like, again, another Frank's or, shit, you can file motions to dismiss whenever. But these deadlines are just, it's how it should be. That's how it should be. You go back and look at the Karen Reed case. You guys, they had trial literally, a couple weeks before they had their motion in limine hearing. Let me tell you when that is for this. Again, so you're going to see everything to do with suppression being run concurrent with the discovery dates. As it should be, they kind of go hand in hand. If you have suppression issues, so like your Franks, like, hey, for the poisonous tree, like basically that AT&T motherfucking warrant. Yeah, dog. That second AT&T warrant for sure. Get the fuck out of here. They lied their asses off. Here it is, motion in limine and notices under IRE 404B, that's rules of evidence, 608, 609, admissibility. Motions in limine and similar motions notices are due February 10th. Responses to those motions are March 3rd. Then again, you have the replies, the 14 days, and then a hearing April 3rd. And then if we need to continue. And so that's like, we want to suppress any bad character to do with any of these witnesses. So you're not able to talk about, if the prosecution wants to say, let's just hypothetically say that there was, someone had drug charges. You can't talk about that. And then the defense is going to say, well, yeah, we can talk about that. So that's like that argument's going to be had. But that's for like the Reed, for like the Richard Allen case. This was frickin' the prosecution said, you're not going to talk about Odinism. You're not going to talk about third party culpability. Okay. You're not going to talk about, you're not going to say the words Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, wild shit. Okay. You're not going to, you have to show a nexus and blah, blah, blah. So here, let's say that they say for the prosecution, you're not going to talk about Brent Kopaka. You're not going to talk about Emma Bailey. You're not going to talk about Demetrius. Okay. You're not going to talk about the house being a drug house. You're not going to talk about Kara Canoodle and Maddie's mom's drugs. Do you understand? That's what we're talking about here when we're talking about motions in limine, what we can probably expect to see the prosecution try to do, or maybe they'll say, we don't see how that's relevant, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, if the defense is going to go, not only are they going an alibi defense, because Brian Kober was clearly, they're saying, nowhere near there, right? But what if the defense says that we want to go with third-party culpability? All right, so then we're talking about the Jack, the boyfriends, the parents, anybody that there's things that you're trying to say that it brings no probative value, okay? And so we're not going to sit here and confuse a jury or try to, ruin people and drag them through the mud, stuff like that, okay? They have to talk about the drugs, though. They don't have to talk about anything, sweetie. That's what the motion in limine is all about. If you see these other cases, this is what this is about. This is trying to prevent stuff like that. But it goes based on the arguments. And I think Anne is an amazing litigator. I think Mathis an amazing litigator. And they are way stronger of litigators in a courtroom when this has to be litigated. And you're able to get your point across to say how it is relevant, how it does bring the probative value outweighs whatever the hell you guys want to say, so stuff like that. They could also talk. Yeah, they can also. Now, from the defense side, let's say the defense is like, okay, what do we want to keep out? What do we want to keep out? And they say, oh, well, Brian's past drug history, if he even has one. We don't even know if he has one. I'm just saying, to this day, okay, WSU, the firing of Brian Kober. Brian Kober, this whole woman saying that Brian Kober, I don't know, put up cameras in her house, in her apartment. That type of shit. So you'd want to think, but I don't have the discovery in front of me. I don't know, Officer Payne. You're not going to be able to say we're not talking about Brady and stuff like that, Giglio and stuff like that. That's never going to happen. But yeah, that hearing is April 3rd. Okay. And so you think about this, April 3rd, and then your trial date isn't until August 11th. And think about the Karen Reed case. Trial date, motion limine, like literally back to back. It was wild. So, and then throughout this, remember, filings can happen. Motion for sanctions. If you guys have been following these other cases, you guys see what's being filed. Like, how many franks were filed for the Delphi case? I think 4. Motions for sanctions against the prosecutor. So definitely things could be filed. It's not just like this is the only thing that we can be expecting to see. It's just these are deadlines with this case management order. Then let's talk about discovery and expert disclosures. So Karen, thank you so much. Who's turning green? Woohoo! Boom. Boom, boom, boom. I don't think that Ann Taylor is going third-party culpability unless she gets some crazy-ass shit in that discovery. But I think Ann Taylor is going to, the power and the tool of cross-examination is she's going to just shred she's going to shred the shit the state's case like you wouldn't believe. And the tool that's the most effective to do that with, okay, is the tool of cross-examination. And if you look at the Karen Reed case, okay, that's why the defense only called 6 people, because Lally called 68 witnesses, and you have the opportunity then to cross-examine them. And so you can also have your rebuttal witnesses, but on cross-examination, if you know your case inside and out, and you know what those people said in interviews, know all the reports on them, and then when they say certain things, you know that case, you are able to boom, light them up like you a damn lie. Here's this. Here's this. Do you recall saying this? Isn't it true? Da da da. So, but cross-examination, you have to know your case. Otherwise, you can't use cross-examination to the way that you should use it, to literally expose the fuck out of that person. Ann Taylor already kind of made that known to us when she said that, they were always asking for that alibi from Brian Kohlberger, alibi. And people are getting it confused. If you want to claim the alibi defense, guys, that's why you would have to disclose that. But Ann Taylor got creative with Jay. I know it's him saying about his Brian Kohlberger has the right to remain silent. Smart as fuck. I mean, it's brainy. I love it. So defendant's discovery deadline is January 9th. So everything that Bill Thompson gave on to Ann Taylor, they're going through it. Now, anything that Ann Taylor, it's reciprocal discovery here. Anything that Ann Taylor then plans on using, discoverable material that she wants to turn over. Let's say that she had Brian Kohlberger go take a fucking polygraph. Say she had Brian Kohlberger go take a polygraph. Say he fucking passed the polygraph. What if Ann Taylor turned that on over to Bill Thompson? Said, oh, here you go. Brian Kohlberger took a polygraph, by the way. We're just putting it out there if you want to use it. Passed. I'm just saying, I get to see a total fucking move like that. But guess what? Let's say he would have failed it. They don't have to turn that over. The defense doesn't have to turn over anything. If the defense was to find something so damn bad against their client, they don't have to turn over. If they found you do not have, as from the defense side, you don't have to turn over anything if you don't want to. But if you plan on using something, okay, that's what that is. Here's our discovery. Here you go. But it doesn't work like if the prosecution was like, oh, you guys found out that such and such existed and you never gave it to us. And let's say it was, I don't know, freaking bloody shirt. I don't know. No, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to do anything. You guys like how I just do that out? But I knew I would get people going crazy when I was going to say my little polygraph statement. Boom, bitch, take that. Wham, with the right hand. Now, experts. A list of experts the parties intend to call at trial. It doesn't mean that you have to call them. It means if you are calling any expert, we have a deadline. So get them on this list, because if they aren't on that list, you cannot use them as an expert witness. Now, a list of experts the parties intend to call at trial, including a copy of the CV and a report. All right. Because you just don't have your list, but whatever it is that they're going to be testifying to. Normally experts have a report. They have data, they have findings, whatever it is that they're going to be testifying to. That would be, so you got the name, you got their CV, and you got their report. All right. It shall be disclosed to the opposing party as follows. So state's guilty phase experts is December 18th, 2024. So who does the state plan on calling because to make their case? Right? Based off of then, if once Ann Taylor sees this list and she's like, what the hell? They're calling a blah, blah, blah. Like, they look through all this shit. Oh God, okay, well, we need somebody, we need so-and-so because of this, because of what they're saying. We need somebody to combat this. All right. For example, let's say the ME is on there. They're going to be on there. Let's say the ME is saying that it's all of the wounds are consistent with the same knife. The traces follow along. This is the order, blah, blah, blah. But let's say everything that their ME is saying, but they've already had somebody look at it and they're like, okay, well, we're going to call this ME expert because our ME is going to say that there's certain wounds and they're going to point them out and say, this could not be made by a, whatever, 6-inch knife or 6-inch blade or whatever it may be. Shit, we may have somebody saying that they think it's impossible based on the blood spatter, based on where the victims were, that knife sheath couldn't possibly not have blood on it. Okay. So, but the state's going to get their disclosures in. Then defendant's guilt phase experts, January 23rd. That's that same date up here that they're going to be all meeting in court for. So then I'll read your footer here. Counsel should not wait until this date to file discovery motions if the issue is ripe prior to the deadline. Okay. Love it. The court will provide additional response/reply and hearing dates for earlier filed motions. Boom. Love it. That's awesome. So remember how I said that they were going to be comprising and compiling all this stuff? Well, now knowing that he would do something like that, we could see a couple motions to compel. Just saying. Discovery motions should not be delayed once the issue is known. Trial will not be postponed because of a discovery motion that could have been filed earlier. And I will tell you this right now. The way that this judge, it's like a referee, guys. Okay? Think about a judge as like a referee. This is our ref. All right? This guy plays by the book. This guy plays by a timeline. I love timelines, deadlines. Give it to me. He's a planner. Karen, make it everybody in this chat turn green. 25 gifted memberships. Woo! Karen, I'm here for it. Hell yeah. So you best believe that I think what they're going to do is then they're going to probably right now, and then they would have submitted everything that we know that's outstanding, keep on going through stuff. But shit, if they want to file something every damn day, but we'll see what happens. Okay. But yeah. Now, he's just basically saying, I'm not going to hear last minute that, like, well, Your Honor, we don't have this discovery. Like, think about the Karen Reed case. We have all these emails. We're showing, like, all that shit that Lally tried to pull would never fly in this courtroom. Okay. Would never fly. He was caught lying about where lab results were and delaying lab results and not giving the defense lab results. Okay. Same thing with the fucking phones. So in this case, if the defense doesn't have something, you ain't using it. Like this little fucking piece of hair that you wanted to use in Karen Reed case. Go back and look at the Karen Reed case. All those discovery issues that tried to come up last minute, or the prosecutions kept on delaying to get them stuff. Guess what? None of that shit in the Karen Reed case would be allowed to be in based on this guy and how he is going to call it. So how does that make you feel? I think it's fair. I'm all about fair. I want fair. Okay. From fair, you get truth, in my opinion. From truth, you get justice. Without truth, you don't get justice. So when people say, I just want, justice for this, truth, get the truth, because then it'll allow perfectly to allow you to go and get justice. But without the truth, then we're all fucked. And when I say we're all fucked, we are all fucked, because this affects all of us. All right. How this case is handled, how every case is handled across the United States of America affects us as people. All right. So then your rebuttal guilt phase experts. So a rebuttal is based on what this person is intending to testify to. So let's say crime scene. Did you guys create a crime scene log to log in everybody that was in there and who, in and out? Where's your crime scene log? What's that? You don't have a crime scene log? No. Well, when you arrived there, we have this body cam. Who are all these people on this body cam? I don't know. You didn't get their names? No, they were gone. They were gone. And then you didn't ask these other people that you did figure out who they were. You didn't ask them who they are. You didn't say, like, who's this? Like, you didn't identify these people. Yeah, no. We tried. We just couldn't. Okay. Yeah, no. Best practice. That's not how that fucking shit works. Do I think that they have a crime scene log? I don't know. My guess is no. Is that a problem? I think so. Is that to the book? No, you're supposed to, create a crime scene log. People coming and going around your crime scene. That was an active motherfucking crime scene for how long, guys? You want to talk about those cowboys? Those cowboys better be on that list. Going in, going out, what time? The stuff that was taken, who was in there taking that stuff. And so the person that could rebut that is when they're trying to talk about how they did something or something that happened, you're going to have somebody that's coming in there to rebut it, like how Cy Ray rebutted what the hell Payne and Mowry and this bullshit that they try to testify to. Cy Ray basically was a rebuttal to that. Like, no. And you have to have the people that you would have rebutting it have very similar, if not better, credentials. Okay. States penalty phase experts. So that's obviously after. Those are those dates. Defendants penalty phase experts. Rebuttal penalty phase experts. Okay. Trial materials. Do you think those cowboys were there on behalf of the defense? No, it was before there was a defendant. So that was in December. 100% negative. I don't think that anybody should have been in there at that time. I think that's going to be interesting. Trial materials. Proposed jury questionnaires. So these are the questions that both sides are going to shall be simultaneously filed under seal by March 24th. Objections are due March 31st. So you're going to see what the other side wants to be in there. So questions are going to be like this. Do you have a family member in law enforcement? Do you have a family member that works at that, are you related to anybody that worked at the University of Idaho? Did you attend the University of Idaho? Have you or anyone you love been the victim of a, domestic violence situation? Stuff like that. And then a sealed closed hearing on the proposed jury questionnaires will be held April 16th. Proposed jury instructions and trial briefs. Now we come to see that how important is these jury instructions? Well, they're very motherfucking important, okay? So let's not get lackadaisical on these jury instructions and trial briefs, okay? A trial brief is basically you're filing, here you go, this is what we intend to basically show what happened, and then this is how we're going to be flowing through the points that you're going to be making at and in trial. So objections and or stipulations to the proposed jury instructions are due by April 21st. So proposed exhibit list. So this is anything that you want to use as an exhibit in the trial. So if you want to use, all your pictures and whatever. If you want to use Snapchat, if you want to use Cellbrite geofencing. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there, whatever the exhibit that you're going to be using. If recordings of interviews of interrogations with Bethany and Dylan. Clips from the media. Clips from the media. So the parties must identify exhibits specifically and individually. So usually the prosecution is going to label their exhibits with numbers, and then the defense is going to label their exhibits with letters. Okay. With each exhibit referenced by the Bates number used during discovery. So there you go. So that'll be for publication purposes or for identification purposes. They'll be listed as that. But then once you're asking for that exhibit to be introduced, then at trial as an exhibit and put in, then that's when it will assume then the exhibit, A, if it's, whatever the letter is or whatever the number is, if it's prosecution, if that's how they're doing it. I mean, that's normally how it is, but fuck, it's Idaho. We'll find out, I guess. I know that what they mean by the discovery Bates numbers is that it's just a continuation of the numbers of the page. So, and I only know this because of the Moore case. Let me think, for example, how I can explain it. Okay. In the Moore case, during the criminal part of it, Jill Bolton filed the Franks. And so she filed her motion, and then behind it was all of the exhibits. And it was just, they were all one after another, and they were just labeled like 001. Then the next page, 002, 003, 4, 5. And then it was just, they didn't have like blank pages in between each like exhibit, as you could say. It was just a running, whatever, here's your brief. And then everything that you have just goes right after, and it's all labeled just 1 through, whatever page number you end at. So that's what that means. Copies of exhibits shall be exchanged by April 21st, 2025. Each exhibit must be affixed with an exhibit number. State shall use red exhibit stickers beginning with S1. Okay, see? They're going to go S1. See? Should have continued reading for you guys. The defense shall be using blue stickers. Okay, everything has to just be red or blue, man. I'll tell you what. And it's D for Dick. Just kidding, guys. It's for the defense. D1. So S-1, which I like that. I love it. To expedite trial. Okay, each exhibit should be viewed by opposing counsel prior to trial, and a determination made as to whether an objection will be lodged against the exhibit and the basis for the objection identified. So here, this is not just going to be, I object and there's nothing that happens. You're going to have to identify your objection. Unlike the Karen Reed case, so people out there that are wondering that, you're going to have and the basis for the objection identified. This is not Norfolk County. All right. So Ann Taylor should really be calling me up right now and saying, hey, we could really use your organization. And I'm like, it's really not that organized, but it's going to cost you. What's your budget look like? On or before May 14th, 2025, the parties shall jointly file a log, baby, a spreadsheet. This is amazing. Identifying which exhibits are objected to and the basis of the objection. This is so that you're going, this just expedites everything because you should already know. Like, this is how it should be, you guys. This is how it totally should be. Okay. Somebody call up fucking Bev Bangs over there. Maybe I'll just call up Norfolk County right now myself and say, hey, I'm going to need you to take a look at this case management order. And I'm just going to need you to follow this up for the Karen Reed case. Thank you. So then next is the guilty phase, lay witnesses. Now, guys, this does not mean people that you can go have sex with, all right? Lay witnesses does not mean these are people that are on the market. They're from Tinder, okay? You may hear that at other channels, guys, but that is not what that means, okay? Lay witnesses. You may hear this over on other channels that it is a person that you have the chance to have sex with. This is not correct, all right? So I just want to halt you guys with that thought process. And you know the channels out there that'll do it. All right. Let me give a shout out again. Secret Podcast. Antenna. Secret Antenna Podcast. Welcome. New member. Debbie Witt. Oh, member for 11 months. We had a baby. Sarah Barnes. Woo. Karen. 10. 20. 25. 25 people got memberships today. And then Michael, Rondo, super sticker, $20. Thank you guys so much. So your lay witness, you guys, your lay witness is a Dylan Mortensen. Okay. Lay witness. Your lay witnesses. Your Bethany's, your Jacks, your Dylans, Jennifer McCabe's, okay? Lay witnesses. We are just your citizens, your lay. I mean, I guess you could possibly have a chance getting laid by one of them. Lay. Wow, anyone saying that has no clue. Lay in this context is not that, right? I think I might have to do like an SNL skit. So, but guilty phase, lay witness list shall be filed under seal, guys. We ain't going to know about these witnesses. Can I get a witness? April 21st. So you will know if you are testifying or have a chance of testifying. So the parents, lay witnesses. Coomer Scott Green, lay witness. Landlord, lay witness. Ian Harsh, lay witness. Grub truck people. Neighbors. Showalter, person of interest and lay witness. DoorDash driver. Grub truck or party driver, special driver, whatever you guys want to call. Murphy, lay witness. Get up there and bark right now, Murphy. Bark. I want to hear your bark. And then I want to compare that bark to the bark on the video. And then I want to get the neighbor's dog that lives at the Queen Apartment Roads at 500, right where I was. And I told you guys, there's a dog right here. Watch when I walk up. It's going to bark. Boom, like clockwork. Walked up the stairs, dog barked. If they don't use that, if this barking is a big thing and that's not checked into, then the defense isn't. They failed in that area. So the penalty phase lay witnesses, May 5th. The list of witness must identify specific individuals and not merely identify groups of people generally. You cannot say motherfucking Sigma Chi frat house. You cannot say sorority, phi, whatever. Okay. Names. Okay. You can't say I don't know, the strippers of the Roadhouse, you know? And now, any questions? I'll be taking those questions. Oh, wait, before we go there, I have one last thing I want to show. Okay. Not sure if Annie's still in here, but Annie calls me up yesterday, wants to ask you what I think about a couple things. And I say, I don't give a fuck about this shit, Annie. I got shit to do with the fuck. Molly Gray sent a Venmo at 3:30. Lay witness, get on over here. Like if you have a digital forensic expert, like that's not a lay witness, just so you guys know. So she's like, hey, well, because I was planning on doing my live about Stevie Pooh, Steve G, and his interview with Nancy Grace, because I noticed that Shannon wasn't on, and I just think I would stay away from, you know, I don't know, Judge was just like, I think he was trying to really drive home about this whole, like, this non-dissemination, right? Did you play the interview yet? No, I'm about to. That's what I'm going to close out with. Of course I'm here, darling. There you go. So really quick, do you guys remember back February 24th, 2023, when Shannon Grey lost his dick all up in Marshall or Meghan Marshall's courtroom and was losing it and talking about there was a meeting so that they didn't know about until last minute, and that meeting was about the non-dissemination order. And so this is the following summary of the Chambers Zoom meeting with Judge Marshall on January 13th, 2023. These were basically the meeting minutes, you could say. And this is from January 13th, and it got filed in February. Okay. And I want to point here, after a review of the Rule 3.6, these are the people that were there, by the way, and these were some redactions. And and Annie says to me, who do you think these redacted names are? And I'm like, why do you care? And she's like, no, just hear me out. Just hear me out. I'm like, girl, I'm hearing you. What's up? What you got? She's like, saying whatever. And mind you, I have a ritual that I do in the mornings. Okay. And so I am not in front of my computer. I'm not looking at a document. Okay. Annie has this document and I have to get my Coca-Cola Classic, and she's reading, and I'm listening, and she's like, redacted this and redacted that. And co-counsel attorney for attorney for redacted Shannon, for attorney for redacted Shannon Grey, attorney for the Goncalves, blah, blah, blah. Who do you think these redacteds are? And I'm like, well, what was it for? it was about this non-dissemination, you know? And I want to know who these attorneys are. Why do these attorney names need to be redacted? And so we're just listening, and I'm like, okay. Well, sure as shit, I'm like, let me guess. Who do you think they... Oh, Dylan and Bethany and whoever's representing them. Like that, she says to me, okay? I finally look at this piece of paper, okay? And I highlight his client, take a picture, and I send this to Annie this morning. And I say, girl, what the fuck? I was like, his client, it's a guy. So unless you think Dylan Mortensen's a boy or Bethany's a boy, it is not them, damn them. What the fuck? She's like, yeah, I figured that out. And I was like, what the hell, Annie? Did you miss that part? His client redacted. So I'm like laughing about this, right? But we have the best conversations. And she's like, no. And I was like, well, I'll give you this, Annie, because you did help me jog my memory about something. Because I was going to be talking about, obviously, about Steve and I believe that the people that were in this meeting were the victim's family, like parents. Okay. And that's just my take. Yes, Annie. This is why she's my bestie. I can hear. I come to her with all my crazy, and she still loves me. Oh yes, the crazy shit that you say, Annie. Yep. I'm like, girl, just yeah. So we get to this part about after a review of the Rule 3.6. Judge Marshall explained that the purpose for the meeting was in response to what she has been seeing and hearing from various media sources. Seeing and hearing. Remember? Have you read, seen, or heard? She has tried to ignore most media coverage, the case since she will be presiding over the preliminary hearing. This case has garnered national and international attention. This is a high-profile case. And so she wants to remind all attorneys not to engage in any conduct that would interfere with a fair trial. You know, because of the nature of this case, this will be a long process. She further advised it is not the responsibility of the attorneys in this case to disseminate information to the media. She is not ordering clients, i.e. witnesses, not because Gray's like, they're witnesses. They're witnesses, you know, not to talk to the media, but stress this case should not be tried in the media, but in the court of law. Okay. So again, she is not ordering clients, i.e. the witnesses, i.e. like if you were the client of Shannon Grey, basically, you know, not to talk to the media, but stress this case should not be tried in the media, but in the court of law. Lawyers involved need to, quote unquote, take their duties in utmost regard when conducting themselves and advising their clients. Judge Marshall stated she wouldn't or wanted to make her expectations clear regarding the lawyer's ethical duties, you know, described above. If lawyers fail to adhere to their ethical duties, she will have to either find them in contempt of her order and or report their actions to the Idaho State Bar. Okay. Now, Redacted responded that he expects his client, blank, who has to be a boy, will be a witness in this case. Okay. He also expects, and when I say a boy, a man, okay, he also expects that the decedent's families will be witnesses in this case, since it is a potential capital case and they would be called to testify. Now, I thought about that. He has handled numerous homicide cases, meaning the lawyer of this client, including capital cases during his career. He assures the court he has advised his client, blank, to decline all media and will continue to do that. He and his client and will not comment as it would be inappropriate to comment. Ready? Judge Marshall appreciates blank's perspective. Judge Marshall reiterates she is not saying the clients cannot talk to the media, but does question whether it is wise for them to talk to the media. Reminds lawyers they have a responsibility in giving advice to their clients. If any lawyer has questions about this or takes issue with this, they should contact the Idaho State Bar and seek clarification. Shannon Grey speaks about emailing the state and wanting to contact the court to seek clarification. Mr. Grey stated he would seek clarification from the Idaho State Bar. Judge Marshall responded that she appreciates Mr. Grey reaching out, but that she has had limited accessibility with a full court calendar, meaning, hey, I've reached out. You guys haven't gotten back to me. This is why she scheduled this meeting. Mr. Grey discusses PC, probable cause affidavit, and alleges that information is getting leaked from the prosecutor's office. Now, I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention because let it not be lost on this channel and all of the viewers of this channel that in black and white, Mr. Grey discusses probable cause affidavit and alleges that information is getting leaked not from the defense, but from the prosecutor's office. But Judge Marshall reminds the parties about 3.6, the rules, and lawyers' duties. Lawyers should not be speculating. Judge Marshall clarifies that the public record is what it is. The public record's out there. That means the probable cause affidavit is out there, right? However, you cannot speculate on the probable cause affidavit. All right? So, to sit here and say, what do you think this means in the probable cause? All right. That is speculating on then the record. And that's a no-no. Tisk. But what was Mr. Grey really talking about? That Mr. Grey discusses the probable cause affidavit and alleges that information is getting leaked from the prosecutor's office. What information would you be talking about back then? What do you think is being leaked? The stalking and that there was no stalking? Now, but you should not be speculating what will happen to the media. I don't know about you guys, but I swear to God, if I have not heard that man say numerous times on what he thinks is going to happen to the media. But Shannon Grey's accusing the state of leaking stuff. Then here's Bill Thompson. Now, Mr. Grey takes issue with the interpretation of substantially prejudices, referring to the substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudication proceeding in the matter. States his client, the Goncalveses, have kept this story alive, and their comments have helped the investigation. Judge Marshall explains the necessity of conveying an impartial jury in Latah County. Okay. I want to remind everybody why there is not a trial in Latah County, and it's seriously right here. So Judge Marshall explains, hey, we need an impartial jury here. Okay. The public is obsessed with this case, and comments are harming the ability to impanel a jury. This is nothing new and known to anybody that would have been in this meeting back in January 13th, after Brian Kohlberger was extradited, just a week, 10 days before that. All parties need to allow the judicial process to see this case through. Mr. Gray responds that it is unrealistic to believe that we will find a jury in the U.S. that hasn't heard about this case. Mr. Gray, you're a horrible litigator. This is not about finding a jury that hasn't heard about it. Hasn't heard about it. Oh yeah, I heard. Yes, there was like when I would say things to somebody. Oh yeah, I heard about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those kids the college kids that were murdered up in Idaho. That's hearing about it. That's it. Okay. Mr. Gray takes issue that he was not given a lot of notice that we would be having this meeting. He was not given enough time to prepare. Judge Marshall reminds the parties that the Constitution still applies in this case. Oh my God. No way. People believe in the Constitution. I love it. Lawyers have a duty to uphold the system and allow the system to see the case through. Blank. So this is the redacted. Reminds Mr. Gray. So a lawyer to a lawyer here. They start having words. Reminds Mr. Gray that he is creating a record by his media interactions. And what did they use? 100% that is what happened at the change of venue hearing. Mr. Gray is reminded by this attorney who is representing somebody else in this that's going to be a witness. Hey, you're creating a record by your media interactions. His statements are being captured by the defense. Holy fucking shit! Telling them this in January. The defense is sitting back and literally documenting everything that you're doing. And documenting all of these interviews and the spikes that would go up is because something would happen. Okay. All of his statements impact the case and advise Mr. Gray to exercise restraint. Mr. Gray takes issue with this lawyer coming at him from the left and his advice. Judge Marshall stops any argument. It was argument. Judge Marshall solicits final comments from those in attendance. Anybody here? Prosecutor Thompson states that many of Mr. Gray's accusations are just not true. I take offense to what Mr. Gray is saying. They're just flat out, this is just not true. Okay. The state, you guys, now think about this. So basically, Shannon Grey is accusing that the prosecution or somebody would be encompassing of the prosecution was actually the lead. So you think that somebody that's encompassing the prosecution, that they were the ones that were talking to Ashley Banfield. Bill is like, you are a liar. So Prosecutor Thompson states that many of Mr. Gray's accusations are just not true. The state is concerned about the ability to impanel a jury and have a fair trial. Oh my God, imagine that. So that concern has been there. So I am just wondering, where in the world is Steve Goncalves getting the picture that the state has said to them, we are going to be able to have this trial here. We're going to dress him up like a puppet, put him in a suit and tie, do all this stuff. Like, wow. This was no surprise to Bill Thompson. This was no surprise to Bill Thompson in January of 2023 that this case and they were going to have a very hard time keeping it in Latah County. But if we want to keep this in Latah County, we all probably need to not, be quiet, Now, mind you, it didn't help that Bill Thompson is out prior to the arrest of Brian Koberger, leading by example, okay, and saying things like having press conferences with the Today Show. He's out. I would send my kid here, blah, 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 and just spread this PCA far and wide and blah, blah. And then they literally, after he's the one that says in a press conference on whatever day, January 3rd, spread this PCA far and wide because it was after Brian Koberger got extradited, that this meeting happens on January 13th. And Shannon Gray's like accusing, well, what the hell? You're like leaking stuff. And I'm just curious of what he means by that. And one day we'll know what they mean, what the leaking stuff was, because all he said was spread the PCA far and wide. So Shannon Gray, did you know at the time that the PCA came out that it was bullshit then? Because now you become a witness, in my opinion. Does Steve Goncalves and Christy and Shannon Gray, do they become witnesses in a Franks hearing with this probable cause because they knew it to be false that Kaylee didn't, nobody was being stalked. There was no stalker. We knew there wasn't stalker. But I mean, woo! Blank remember, so this is now who I believe that this lawyer could potentially be and who this male is that he represents. If someone was like on the spot, Lana, give me a name, I believe it's Jack Showalter's attorney. And that, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's, if you had to say, Lana, you're going to be on the spot, give me a name. Showalter. Because he's saying he believes that his client is going to be a witness. Okay. And then they're referring to so we know that it can't be Dylan or Bethany, right? And then they're referring to the descendants' families, like that they're not he's not in that, So then it can't be like a Ben Mogan or Ethan's dad, Xana's dad. So I said, I'm going with Showalter. Lana, I think you misread the whole his client thing. No, I don't think I did. No, there's two people because I believe it could be the Showalter parents, possibly. His client. Oh, his client? His client because he's a guy? Well, there's another his in there. Where's the his? It's up. And for the record, attorney for Shannon Grey, redacted, attorney for redacted, a co-counsel attorney for redacted. I don't believe it. If it's Bethany, I'll be shocked. If it's Dylan, I'll be shocked because she didn't have counsel. Remember they had to run around like crazy people to go get counsel for them in March. She had to sign up that girl. That's why I don't think it's Bethany. His, yeah, he is the client. His client, yes. As in his client, yes. I think on this page, though, he says he. I have to go back and read it. Lawyer is a male. His client, yes. And I believe he's a lawyer in Spokane. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. I'm allowed to speculate. His client. Could be two girls. Someone has two lawyers in this meeting. Someone's coming with stacks. I don't know, guys. I think Showalter has an attorney that's a boy. His counsel. I don't know why I feel that way. It's got to be someone that never talked to the media too. Showalter never talked to the media, and I don't know if Hunter ever did. I can't see why Hunter. This is when the 911 calls were like big thing. Like everybody was trying to get the 911 call. So could it be Hunter? Possibly. I know. People with money have two attorneys. People with money are represented by firms. Hold on, I gotta go back though. Let me finish my right here. All of his statements impact the case and advised Mr. Gray to exercise restraint. They had a big old fight in this thing. Prosecutor Thompson states that many of Mr. Gray's accusations are just not true. The state is concerned about the ability to impanel a jury and have a fair trial. He is hopeful that all parties will begin to show professional responsibility. All parties will begin to show professional responsibility. Blank states that she has advised blank not to comment. All right, we've solved it. We have a guy and a girl in this mofo. They are husband and wife. Just kidding. Brian's attorneys are present there. They're via Zoom. Ann Taylor thanks the court and expresses appreciation. She literally just sat back and watched a shit show. Okay. But let it not be lost on us that, guys, everybody, the only person going out and doing interviews, and so this not being in Latah County and where it's at and where it belongs with a damn good judge who is running a ship here, right? So, but this is January 13th. January 13th. And now we're going to talk about it again because this is the non-dissemination. All right, non-dissemination. And the other night, Nancy Grace has Steve Goncalves on. Notice that Steve was not with Shannon Grey. I don't think that Shannon Grey should go on TV anymore. Okay? He should be advising behind the scenes, and that should be it, right? Because he shouldn't be talking to the media. Steve Jr. and the sisters. No, the people that got into it with Shannon Grey, because according to Shannon Grey, he represents the family. And so the people that got into it with Shannon Grey are people that are like, you know, you're fucking this shit up. All right. You're like, you need to. And do I think that my second guess is that it's the Maisie and the two siblings, that they would have different, that they would have been lawyered up. So Maisie would have her lawyer, and so do I think that it could be then Ethan's brother and Ethan's sister? And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and change my bet here right at the last minute. I pull back my chips. I'm all in. It's Ethan's brother and sister. Final answer. So, and that's why they're expecting to be witnesses. But which one needs two lawyers? Well, if it's a firm representing them, I don't know if it would be a conflict of interest if one of them had one and one of them had the other. I don't know. No, I think the people that would have the two would be the parents of Ethan, you know? And then the person that is separate that would be talking about the descendants and the families, that's going to be coming from one of the girls. It could be both the girls as attorneys, but I don't recall them having I remember them having to scramble to get Bethany an attorney. She hired an attorney last minute for that March incident. So yeah, but the people that haven't, Ethan's brother hasn't done one. So anyways, regardless on who it is, regardless on who it is, a huge blowout. And somebody basically, another attorney told Shannon Grey in January what was happening, and fuck if that guy was not right. Money smack, dead on right. Told Shannon Grey what the fuck was up. You need to stop doing this. You're creating a record, blah, 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 blah. And that, watch, boom, case is moved. So this attorney told Shannon Grey what was going to happen, and it happened. So, period. Now, this interview. If Steve Goncalves is going to be doing interviews and affecting this trial being seen publicly for everybody, I'm not going to be happy about that. We have a right as the people to see this because we need to know what's going on in the world, in our country. Okay, there is no place for corruption, and if this has anything to do with corruption, okay, there is no place for that. So here, here is the
Koberger trial. Joining us tonight, Kaylee Goncalves' father is with us live. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace.
But that's what they found when they entered the home. News came in that the police are responding to a call of someone found unconscious. That's the call that originally came in, and then they responded, and then they found the 4 additional bodies, the 4 bodies of these students inside the home. It was originally a call not pertaining to 4 dead bodies, but that's what they found when they entered the home. It was shocking news to hear, especially coming from.
This is Kaylee Goncalves' father. Steve, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you supporting these kids.
I really don't even know how to take that because I don't know who in the world could not support you and your family and Kaylee and the other children. There were children that were killed that night. I just want you to know before we start.
And just for the record, you can support the criminal justice system and you can support the victims at the same time. There is no, if you're supporting a fair trial, that you're not supporting the victims. And to ever try to manipulate that is a shame on the person that would be trying to manipulate that. Okay. So
that you and your wife and your family are the objects of so many prayers.
They should be.
I know it's hard for a lot of people that have never suffered as a crime victim to identify or to relate to what you're going through. But I know from firsthand experience that it's horrible and that it never goes away. And I look.
Yeah.
I swear I thought you have people on shows so that they talk. Like,
I want. It's part of the reason why we're fighting is to make sure that my daughter's case is going to get the right people and the right attention and then, the right resolution. So you think it's a guarantee in America, but I think those times have changed. I think you really have to come up and you have to say something and you have to get people involved. And I've heard that from other people who
Hasn't even started. I've got to tell you, going through the trial is going to be pure hell, and you know that, in addition to what you've already been through. I wonder how you and your family feel as you see other cases hit the headline and take away focus from what you know to be the most important case there is. I remember when my fiance was murdered, I felt like I had stepped off the world. And I look back, and amazingly, the world was still
Why
spinning.
is she making this a
People were still going to
competition
work,
between
people were still going.
cases? What is she doing? It's so stupid. It's not. That's not it.
I couldn't hear music. I couldn't even hear the clocks ticking in the house.
get up and go to work, and you have all these pressing issues. So, yeah, it's part of the reason why we're fighting is to make sure that my daughter's case is going to get the right people and the right attention, and then the right resolution. So, you think it's a guarantee in America, but I think those times have changed. I think you really have to come up and you have to say something and you have to get people involved. And I've heard that from other people who have cases that were never solved, where they wish they could have gone back and picked up that phone or opened up that door where there was people, knocking on their doors trying to get the inside story. So I knew with my child, there wasn't anything I wouldn't have done to make sure that I was talking and getting that information out and getting people's attention, that we can't allow people to go to school, go to college, and be killed in their sleep from some outsider. There's terrible things going on, but a complete stranger, hunting your child down and getting them while they're sleeping is just you can't do that.
A complete outsider, somebody that's hunting your child down.
To your head that's even possible.
Mr. Goncalves, what you just said has been my theory from about day 3.
Your theory.
Hunting them down. Because people always ask, of course, as you know now, the state doesn't have to prove a motive. But practically speaking, a jury will want to know a motive. And I believe with all my heart, from what we know now, and that may change as the trial progresses, that the victims were hunted down. There is no motive that we can understand, normal people can understand. I think you're right, Mr. Goncalves. I think they were hunted and stalked and watched. Now, I know the state came out in court and said there's no evidence of stalking. And I take that to mean in the legal sense, like sending Kaylee emails or letters or leaving things at her doorstep, just showing up at her work, trying to date her. I don't think it's stalking in that sense, the way we normally think of it. I think it was more, as you said, hunting.
What's stalking them? What's stalking in the sense of modern day? Stalking in the modern day should be so easy to be found if you're doing it with your phone on, because you're
Yeah, I'm trying to be careful how I describe some of the things that are out there, but yeah, this is a criminologist. This is somebody who spent probably a century studying law.
Okay, so they're just speculating here, right?
And getting the ins and outs. This person knows there cannot be a direct connection, an easy direct connection. That's how everyone gets caught. So you got to reverse engineer it back to what he was doing and the steps he was taking. I think this will go all the way back to his Pennsylvania home. In his actual room, you're going to find out that he planned this murder from that actual location, and he left Pennsylvania with a thought and a motivation to go out and kill someone.
To kill someone? So he planned this in Pennsylvania to kill someone.
Steve, you are bringing up a lot of evidentiary implications with what you just said. I think what you're saying is entirely possible. So you believe, and I understand you are not divulging your source, you believe, and I'm interpreting, that Koberger was at Pullman. And upon going back home before he started school, he had locked into your daughter.
I don't know if he locked into the actual victims. I just know that there's signs that point to this individual had a lot of troubled past, and I believe they're going to show that this crime started back there. I think they're going to be able to prove that he thought and planned and strategized this murder and came out here, picked a community. I even think, this is my own personal feeling, I think he picked this area because of some previous killers in this area. And I think he came out here thinking that he was going to outdo them. He was going to be that type of killer. The Northwest has a history of some pretty prevalent mass murder serial killers. And I think he came out here with an idea and a notion that he was going to show them how to do it.
What the?
I don't think there's any question, Mr. Goncalves, that he was
I haven't watched this. I have not watched this. I cannot fucking believe what I'm hearing.
motivated. Of course, I'm just a trial lawyer and a crime victim. I'm not a shrink. I don't think there's any question that his attack, and of course he's presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, his attack was motivated by his bizarre interest in criminals, the criminal mind, and criminology. It could have been a desire to know what it feels like to murder someone. I don't know the motivation, and frankly don't care about the motivation. I care only about motive as it relates to what a jury will want to hear. That's all I would care about, because to me it doesn't matter why he did it. It matters that he did it. Question to you.
I think Steve wants to know the why, though. I think he disagrees with you.
I know you've been asked this before. How did the whole thing start for you? When, where, how did you learn something horrible had happened?
We were sitting at home as a family. Almost everybody was here. Olivia was just living down in Southern California, but everyone else was here. We were watching a football game, and we started. The phone rang, and we heard that something was going on. As a father of 5 kids, I can't tell you how many times we think something bad's happened, and we can't find one of the kids, and they're just hiding underneath the table or something. So you try to stay calm, and you try to tell yourself that this is just some rumor, something that's been blown out of proportion. Maybe there was some type of accident, but it's not like what has been described to you. So you just sit there and you start getting active. We all started grabbing computers, laptops, and started searching, and then we did see that King Road. It's on King Road. So then we're thinking it's a bad fight, some kind of quarrel between a relationship of something. The things that you typically hear out here in Idaho, where you're going to have those types of fights and those types of news stories, but you're never thinking it's going to be a homicide of 4 people. That just doesn't go there. And I don't think we even understood what happened for weeks. We were just in a daze, like what you're describing. Like I couldn't even hear music. Music stopped harmonizing. Things just don't make sense anymore. You're just broken, and you're just trying to figure out who's responsible.
That's why I think facts got distorted, because I believe that. That's why I think that facts though would be distorted.
And what you're going to do about it, and how you're going to get to hold them accountable and figure out the truth. I really needed to know the truth. And since that day, we've been on a mission to make sure that we do everything to get to the bottom of this.
Nancy Grace comes out and says, I'm not gonna, what was it? Your source. I'm not gonna make you reveal your source. Steve has a source that this started plotting in Pennsylvania.
Steve, I remember when I first learned on the phone from Keith's sister that he was dead. First of all, think, okay,
you need to call all of her friends, and that's what all the way up to college, and your coaches told me that were in so much pain that I really didn't have a lot of time to even think about myself. I grew up on a football team all the way up to college, and your coach is just pounding your head that it's not about you, it's about your team, it's about the people around you. So I kind of just turned myself off and then just focused on all these kids that were in pain. And then I said, I'm kind of old fashioned. So I just said, you know what, guys, we have to pick up the phone. We have to figure out what happened. You need to call all of her friends. And that's what they did. They got out on social media. They started finding everything. And that's when it became, it still wasn't real though. It wasn't real because I know my girls. I know Maddie. These are like some of the sweetest, most gentle souls that you've ever met. So gentle people don't get murdered. It's not something that even makes sense to you. So, I don't know when it actually became real. I know that when you talk about going to the funeral, I remember.
So then I have a question. If Brian Colbert is so smart and he planned this in Pennsylvania and he's a criminologist student, like Steve just said, and he has to be careful and he knows this and knows that, then why did Brian Colbert circle the house 4 fucking times knowing that there was cameras everywhere around that area? In his personal vehicle. That's question number 1, because you can't say it in one breath that here's a guy that planned this and said, and he's a criminologist student and he's doing all these things and he's got to be careful and yada, yada, yada. And then but I'm going to drive my vehicle 4 times around that house and then park it and be seen on all these cameras.
I remember thinking just how appalling the whole thing was and how gross it was and how I had to go into this place and I'm conducting business. That's where I switched. I can't be a victim. I'm one of those guys that was like, I'm going to turn this on whoever did this, and I'm coming for them, and I'm going to get them, and we're going to bring wrath on this individual. And if that means I got to wake up at 4 a.m. and do interviews and talk to people and work with willing people, strangers, become friends, then that's what we did. That's what we're doing right now. To this day, I'm still trying to connect dots with anyone who's listening, and that includes the prosecution team, whoever wants to pick up the phone and reach out to us if they have something. We're still here. We're still collecting data.
When everything originally happened, the lack of confirmation, at first it was rumors of murder, suicide, that was ruled out. Things like that.
Yeah.
The law. Listen.
Okay, so I found it. So I don't know what in Pennsylvania where you go to find laws, but in Washington it's called the Revised Code of Washington. So I'll try to turn my brightness up, but it's basically just called an RCW. So it's RCW 46.61.202. So it's no driver shall enter an intersection unless there is significant space on the other side of the intersection. To accommodate the vehicle, he is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles, despite any traffic control signal indications.
And it goes on and on. And that we don't know of, that he was in that area watching that house. I heard Dr. Bethany say something about him. It's hard for regular.
Why are you repeating? Why are you God, these fucking people. Oh, for fuck's sake. I didn't realize this jackass is on here. Little fucking liar. What?
In that area watching that house.
So we get into trial time.
When I think about the number of times
in another state, in a town that I'm not familiar with, this person was very familiar with those areas, and there's not a lot of real reasons why he should be over in those areas that often. And I'm sure that is going to be dug into quite deeply once we get into trial time.
When I think about the number of times that we know of, I wonder how many times are there that we don't know of, that he was in that area watching that house. I heard Dr. Bethany say something about him. It's hard for regular people like us to relate to what I'm about to say. A person that wants to eradicate, destroy something good. Steve, tell me about your daughter, my girl and boy, I have twins, the same age. And I can't imagine why someone would want to hurt them. Tell me about Kaylee.
Kaylee was a beautiful friend. She got along with everyone. We never even had to ever have any kind of conflict with the school or teacher or anything along those lines. So, and Maddie, I know Maddie exactly was the same type of person. So I feel like if you are a corrupted soul and you want to strike out at society, you're going to look for somebody who is going to matter, somebody that the world looks at and says, that's a beautiful person. That's who I want to be like. That's the pinnacle of achieving being a good human being. So I think that in the end is what made them targets. So it was their beauty, their smile, their laughter, the way they treated others. They played by the rules, doing things the way that you want your children and you raise your children to do. So in a way, he was striking out when it was a statement he was making when he picked them. I don't like him looking like he did a white collar crime. This isn't a white collar crime, people. This is people, you work your whole life to get them to go to college. Everybody has a dream of their children going to college. You trust the community, you trust the school, you send them off, and then they get killed while they're asleep that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
In their beds.
And we're going to treat this guy like he just traded insider trading of his own company stocks. It's not white collar. The person who did this crime looked at one of the victims and said, I'm here to help you. If that's not malice, if that's the most type of evil that you could ever hear of, that shouldn't be rewarded with a suit.
And a fresh haircut every time.
And a beacon meal. That's wild. That's wild.
We've been told that he does have shackles around his knees or whatnot, but it's like, I don't want to be hidden.
You are hearing Mr. and Mrs. Goncalves, the parents of Kaylee Goncalves, speaking out to Steve Goncalves joining.
Why does Steve believe that fucking Brian Kohlberger said that? Because why? Because it's written in a probable cause affidavit that I've sat on here and literally destroyed a probable cause affidavit that Idaho State Police did in a murder to frame an innocent doctor. One of their own not an outsider. Idaho State Police and Bonners Ferry and Bonner County, Kootenai County framed one of their own doctors who did nothing but give to the community that they've lived in for 20 some years. Literally upended this probable cause of the same amount of pages, 19. Theirs was 18, 19 pages. I think one of them was like maybe 20 something. I think another one was 40. You're going off of a probable cause affidavit said by what? A girl that's in a total shock and then and it had different things to say though. And then now we're going to go with this, but it's a cop saying that person said it. Unfucking believable. Like hearsay upon hearsay.
Warning us tonight. This is Kaylee's father.
I don't believe that any of it's true. If she could make that out, I'm here to help you, then she wasn't in a frozen motherfucking shock phase. Okay. It'd be like everything zoned out. You heard that. I'm here to help you. Wait, what? Like, would he scream it? I'm here to help you. How the fuck would Dylan be able to hear that? You think the person that's trying to get in and get out and just kill people is screaming and talking so loudly and that Dylan fucking heard it? Dylan, the one that came out of the room 3 times and all these passing bys of Brian or whoever did it, didn't see her. Then she opens up the door and literally it's this tight of a space and he doesn't kill her. Like none of the story doesn't seem like none of it seems off. Yeah, this seems like, yep, it's exactly what happened.
What do you make of Koberger's new look with his
wait, you're asking him about his new look? What the fuck is going on? I can't believe this interview. I can't believe these questions. You're asking a victim's father. This is the guy that supposedly killed his daughter. You're asking about his new look? I would say, what the fuck are you asking me that for? I can't even believe this.
Female fans of his going crazy online. I mean, how backwards is that? That this guy would have fans demanding a hair salon, trim, new clothes every time he goes to court, not in a jury's presence.
He's
demanding.
Like
he's getting everything he wants. Every demand is given to him at his whim.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we felt the need to get a lawyer, to make sure that everything was done by the book. And I question that everything was, 100% done.
You got your lawyer and he got you the fuck out of Latah County because of it.
To give him the ability to not have normal cuffs. I just don't think any father's going to be okay with their accused mass murderer being treated with any kind of preferential treatment whatsoever. I'm not asking for him to be in shackles and orange during his trial. Everybody deserves a fair trial, and a fair trial means you look presentable and you don't look like a criminal. But we're not even there yet. They're trying to delay everything, and nobody's arguing that they're not trying to, push things back and asking for more time. And I need more years. And my mitigation, which for people don't know, comes at the end of the trial. But my mitigation expert witness is I need to delay it. We're frustrated that he's being treated with these preferential things, and we can't find him on paper. Show me who made this decision. I can hold that person accountable. These are elected officials. I can hold people accountable. But if you don't put it on paper, it makes it very hard for me to understand who did it. So this new judge is doing it by the book. Everything I've seen, I like, and that's all I'm asking. We're not asking for him to come in there with the ball and chain and a mask over the top of him. We're just saying, why is this man being treated different than the criminal that comes in an hour after him or an hour before him? Why is he being treated one way as a mass murderer? And these other
because his lawyers are putting in I will explain this. Okay, because the people that are coming in before him and after him, they don't have attorneys. Probably number one, if they are just showing up for an arraignment or something like that. Number two, your attorneys and Taylor and her team they're on the spot too. To we have to file all these motions. We have to, and if Brian Koberger knows the law, can say, hey, we can put a motion to have this, can't we? Oh yeah, we can. Okay, so you're putting in that motion. But you know how many Idaho attorneys suck balls? I've dealt with a couple of them. Suck horrible balls. Just you look at them and then you look at the docket and you're like, what the fuck have you been doing? You haven't done anything because there's like no motions filed. You're not doing anything. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Reading documents or what? You can't read documents, and when you come across things, file things at the same time. So Brian Kohlberger's team is filing motions and getting things because they're filing motions and oral arguing for the things that are right. But to say that he's being treated differently, no, he's being advocated for. There's a huge fucking difference. Brian Kohlberger is being advocated for, and these other people that are coming in before him or after him aren't being advocated for. Okay? That's the difference. It's not preferential treatment. It's the difference between advocacy and non-advocacy. But I can't believe that Nancy Grace had the audacity to ask Steve Goncalves about his new do. What new look? What are you talking about? He just got transferred. He has what? First, you're complaining that he's clean shaven. Now he has a 5 o'clock shadow. And oh my God, now that's a problem. I mean, what the fuck? All right. These are the type of people that the sky's blue and they're going to tell you that it's red. They're going to have a problem with everything and anything. And this is the problem. That's the problem. People like that are so fucking annoying.
That's what we're pointing out. And that's what we're using like forums like this to bring to people's attention.
Nancy Grace,
some of
you're
these things are
annoying.
questionable. And we don't
You're just fickle. You're just, I don't even fucking know, man.
One bit.
Mr. Goncalves, have you seen him in court?
Yes, I've definitely seen him in court multiple times. The very first chance I was given an opportunity to see him in person, I was there. And we're going to keep that same position where when we can be there and it's a court hearing of any magnitude, of any real decision being made, we're going to
look at this. She wants to talk about, look at his new this or that. Look at, he's clean shaven. So he clearly isn't like, I'm doing these 5 o'clock shadows because I'm trying to get fans, because then he would have kept his 5 o'clock shadow and had a trim. Okay. He's shaved. I can't believe that. I can't believe this. I can't believe this interview.
No, I've heard that sometimes he has looked in that direction, but I've never seen him look at me.
Someone's lying to you.
Tell you what happened, Mr. Goncalves. When I did go.
Brian Kohlberger has never looked back. Okay. So at least I have to say this. Well, the camera's been on. And so I don't know who possibly would have told you that unless they were watching, on TV, because no one's been there. And I'm sorry, but I believe that I know people have lied to this man, and that pisses me off. But
to my fiance's murder trial, which was a big blur.
For fucking jeez.
I thought my dad's role, and I saw, and I'm curious, what went through your mind when you first saw Brian Kohlberger?
Dude, these fake ass. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't know where.
How do you interview with such a fake, phony person?
It's always stuck with me that the eyes are the opening of a man's soul. So yes, I wanted to peer through this man's soul and understand the best that it's possible what kind of person this person is. So yeah, it's not easy, but I have an obligation, and I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about what this person stepped into when he picked my daughter. And yeah, it's a very uncomfortable situation. We get people requesting all the time for us to sign off so they can get their hands on these photos, these autopsy photos, or these photos of the crime scene. It's disgusting. And we've made it known.
Steve, I don't understand who is wanting you to sign off to release those photos.
Who?
I mean,
I'm assuming
I've
from
never
other countries.
seen
people from other countries.
I've never seen the crime scene photos in my fiance's case. I've never tried to see them, except I was so young when that happened. I'd never even been in a courthouse. I didn't even know what a defendant.
Actually, let him answer the question, Nancy. You just asked him who.
I've never gone back to the scene where he was murdered, because for me, that just means
Well, neither did
reliving it. And
Steve.
I have children to raise now, and I don't want to be in that again, ever. But when you say people want you to release the crime scene photos,
How
of
would
your
he have
daughter,
those?
what are they thinking? They're like vultures circling. I don't understand that. How dare they?
Yeah, it's clickbait. It's viewers. It's disgusting.
What?
And we don't want it. We want nothing to do with any of that disgusting behavior. And hopefully, it's not even possible.
Who
But
the fuck?
as just a regular parent, you don't know. You don't know what's possible. I mean, so much.
What is
this
they
so
talking
new to us,
about?
and it doesn't.
What?
Who? People in other countries. Wait, what the?
Young when that happened. I'd never even been in a courthouse. I didn't even know what a defendant and a plaintiff was. I knew nothing. I've never gone back to the scene where he was murdered, because for me, that just means reliving it. And I have children to raise now, and I don't want to be in that again, ever. But when you say people want you to release the crime scene photos of your daughter, what are they thinking? They're like vultures circling. I don't understand that. How dare they?
Yeah, it's clickbait. It's viewers. It's disgusting. And we don't want it. We want nothing to do with any of that disgusting behavior. And hopefully, it's not even possible. But as just a regular parent, you don't know. You don't know what's possible. I mean, so much of this is so new to us, and it doesn't make sense.
What are you guys talking
if one dad woke
about?
up and there was pictures of our children on a newspaper with some blurred out stuff, I wouldn't even know what to say or what to do or what my rights would be. So yeah, there's definitely people out there right now who want to make money off of a crime, and they know that that's something that would bring people to them. And we're in an attention economy, and these people.
As they're talking about this, she's showing the GoFundMe?
Want that. They actually are hunting it down.
Hunting what down? Wanting you to release the photos. Wouldn't you come out and say, I don't have these photos? But maybe that's what he's trying to say. Like, I don't want to see these. I don't have these photos. Oh, but if you sign something, then you can get these photos because you would be able to get the autopsy photos. Is that what they're talking about? That go get the autopsy photos? I mean, what? This is absolutely absurd. What the fuck is going on here?
As well. And now dealing with having to.
Family of 10 released a statement expressing their extreme disappointment in the decision, criticizing the state's failure to cross-examine the defense's witnesses effectively. Now they are hoping to raise enough money to rent a home, feed themselves, and account for 3 months of lost work.
Joining us tonight, Steve Goncalves. This is Kaylee's father. He's living in pure hell every day.
Absolutely.
Waking up to relive the day before. This while he's got other children, his wife, of course, who is suffering as well. And now dealing with having to travel to Boise, hours away, miss work, set up housekeeping there, and drag himself to court every day. Mr. Goncalves, again, please know for what solace it is to you that you and your family are the object of so many prayers. And I hate what you are about to go through. It's to you, the hardship is going to bring upon you and your family. You've set up a GoFundMe.
Why are you saying this to
I want to talk
him?
about why it's important that you have the GoFundMe. Help Kaylee Goncalves' family attend trial. Explain the hardship it will bring on you and your family, Steve.
I'm literally running to like the equivalent of a train wreck that has my daughter in it and Maddie. I don't want to be in that courtroom. I don't want to see and hear what I'm going to have to hear.
So you're an issue talking to anyone judge.
She's beautiful.
I agree.
She's everything
I'm
to
not
us,
judging anything. I'm judging this interview.
And I
have every right to judge this interview. I think this interview is insane. I think these questions are insane. I think the questions to be asking somebody that would be in Steve's shoes is insane. That's me putting myself in Steve's shoes to say, oh my God. Like, I could tell you this. There's no way in fucking hell that any question that this broad has asked that I would ask. Not even if someone was like, okay, you have the green light to ask any question you want. Would these be my motherfucking questions?
Daughter deserves it. She's beautiful. She's everything to us. And I have to be there for her. And I'm going to be willing to hear and see things that I never, ever thought I'd ever have to be facing. But I have to. Knowing what I know, I can't sit on the sideline. I mean, I have a lawyer who was a prosecutor who prosecuted murder cases, and he said nothing is more impactful to that jury than to see firsthand the damage that this person has done to the people that are important to them. So they're going to see.
Steve, you have to be there. I know in your own heart you feel you have to be there, but as a felony prosecutor over a decade, you have to be there, and you have to have your wife there, and you have to have the entire family there, and they have to be on the very front row behind the prosecution. There's no way for this cup to be taken away from you. There's no way you can't show up. You understand that, right?
I do, and I don't want to put it on anyone else, but I hope all families find the strength to at least be there at certain key moments, because all these children, people need to understand how much pain and how beautiful these people were. And the only way that you can really show them that is through your face, through your emotions, through you being there, supporting them. And yes, it's ghoulish, and yes, it's gross, and we don't want to be there, but I feel I have to be there. My family will be there, but I know we're not the only victims, and I know.
Then that means that you're not going there to see a fair trial. You're going there to play on the emotions of the jury. I wouldn't say any of this stuff. I'm going there because I want to know what happened, because I wanted to see the evidence. And if this person did it, the evidence will show. And, but I'm sorry, but I'm done. Absolutely not. Get the fuck off my screen. That's sick. Steve said that they chose to go with Olivia, Chronicles of Olivia, when they did their interview with the family, and because things are different this day and age, and you can use different platforms, and but truly, Steve has only gone on mainstream media. He did that one interview that was edited. And he went on, what's his name's with she had that panel. Did she ever even use that panel? They just were just up there. This was unbelievable. I don't even know. I can't even. But Steve hasn't used any of the platforms where, he's only used mainstream media. But I wouldn't be going to my kid's trial and sitting on the front row to play on the emotions of the jury. That's not what I'd be going there for. I'd be going there to support my child and to be, because if I've been left in the dark this whole time, I want to know what the fuck went on, and I want to know what the state did in terms of working to make sure that my daughter and her friends' case gets truth and justice, and that if this is the person, that they are held accountable. But I'm going there to get the truth. I'm going there to support my child. I'm not going there to play on the emotions of the jury. And that's the sentencing phase, I believe, that you guys have maybe got that mixed up with. I think that you might want to, as a lawyer, Nancy Grace, understand that you should know of all people that the sentencing phase is when, the emotions and going there and speaking and letting them know how it impacted your life. That's what that's for. But the guilty phase is for the facts and the truth and the evidence to have a place, and to hear them talking the way they're talking, especially Nancy Grace, and who's supposed to be a, extension of the court. She's a lawyer. It's ridiculous. and somebody fake crying to me and asking me questions to like try to get me to be emotional, to try to play on my emotions during an interview. I think that's Bush League. Again, these are the opinions of myself, and I'm expressing my First Amendment right to my opinion. And with respect, this is. And I do think that if the families want to be there, if the families don't want to be there, that's their right to come out and say that, to even mention them and to say anything like that. I'll just remember that right here, good old Hector, right here, reminded us that back in the day, on January 13th, a lawyer told Shannon Grey, reminds Mr. Grey that he is creating a record by his media interactions. His statements are being captured by the defense. All of his statements impact the case, and advised Mr. Grey to exercise restraint. Mr. Grey takes issue with this lawyer's advice. Judge Marshall stops any argument. Prosecutor Thompson states that many of Mr. Grey's accusations, which were that the prosecution is leaking, but all I see throughout 2 years, I know who News Nation's source is. Ever since the arrest of Brian Kohlberger. I know who's been pumping every headline. I know who the source has been. Mr. Grey discusses PCA affidavit and alleges that information is getting leaked from the prosecutor's office. And then Megan reminds everybody, you guys, the PCA is out there. It's part of the public record. Like whatever's in that, it's what we're not supposed to be doing is speculating about what the PCA says at different points in it. And just remind all of these attorneys that their statements made must also be true. Judge Marshall also reminds attorneys that their statements made must also be true. And I'll just say that. And so no wonder why Shannon Grey, obviously they're not his statements, but I wouldn't be on a panel when that shit was being said on that interview. I get keeping the case in the limelight and that you don't want your daughter's case to go cold. Well, there was an arrest. And so I'm unclear after the arrest was made that as far as keeping anything in the limelight after the arrest would be made, I want to hear a good argument how that has anything to do with like prior to an arrest. That's why you stay out in front of it. You do interviews, you're knocking on doors, you're banging down, hey, talking to people, doing all that stuff. But once the interview or once the arrest would have been made, December 30th, from that point to here, I don't see the argument where you could say that I'm keeping it in the limelight. I think I think it being in the limelight is going to be that it can be a publicly seen trial. That's what will keep it in the limelight. All the hearings are public. That's what's going to keep it in the limelight. Okay. That the facts can be reported on. If this goes to closed hearings, because of stuff like that, then it's not going to be in the limelight. You're going to be looking at a Delphi situation. And no one's covering Delphi. Everybody was. No one's covering Delphi anymore. You know why? Because you can only view that if you're physically there in person and it's in a really small courtroom. If you don't get in, you don't get in. None of the media, they don't get to have laptops. They don't get to have devices, nothing like that. So keeping this case after the arrest of being in the limelight would be that it stays in public hearings that get to be streamed, televised through the streaming. And so I just truly think that, I mean, I don't care if Shannon Grey's an attorney or not. Clearly we have two attorneys, okay? And guess what the one attorney told the other attorney? You're wrong, bro. You need to stop. And guess what? They didn't. And guess what? This attorney was right. In that case, left Latah County and went to Ada. So that's all I have to say. But we can agree on something here that the judge is running a ship that should be ran with deadlines, dates, and organization and punctuality, and yeah. Woo! Till next time, guys. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Time is it? 10:57. It's about to be lunchtime. I need to go take all of my members on a lunch date. I have not taken my members on a lunch date in a while. Who wants to go eat with me? You guys, JLR is wild. JLR is wild on that note. On that note. It's November 29th. For people that were murdered and you want to fuck around. You got 8 families that are being affected by this, and they just mean nobody from the universe.
Shock value. And so what he did.
Oh shit! I missed one. I must have been on a rant. Oh, you're from I would be outraged if I lived in Moscow right now. I'd be lighting some cars on fire out there. I'd be flipping some cars. Deborah, Lana, keep bringing it. Woo! Sorry, I missed this. Love you, Deborah. Rock it, baby girl. Boom.